Hello guys, welcome to our channel. In today's video, we will be discussing the traffic signals that are most frequent out there and you will definitely run into as you begin to drive. If you haven't subscribed, I'm going to encourage you to do so. This channel is designed to help those individuals who are learning how to drive and have planned to take the written and practical examination. Here you will find the proper preparation. Enjoy! When we run into this traffic sign, it indicates us that we need to proceed with caution. If pedestrians approach, we must allow them to cross. When seeing the stop sign means we need to make a full stop before the pedestrian line. Now, if we run into this signal, which is a red circle and an arrow, means you can make a right turn. This sign means you can't go that way. You must not enter because it's most likely a one-way street and incoming traffic is coming in the opposite direction. If you see a stop sign in a four-way street, this means the first car getting there gets to go first. If two cars gets to the stop sign at the same time, then the left car must allow the right car to proceed first. This sign means you're approaching a rounded street. Slow down. You must be careful. It's a traffic circle and incoming traffic will be coming from the other direction. You must stop and yield. Meaning, you have to give way to the other incoming vehicles and allow them to proceed first. This sign means reduction of lanes. Means that the left lane ends and you must slow down and merge into the right lane. This is another similar sign indicating that the lane will end, so you will have to merge. This sign means reduce your speed and prepare to make a full stop ahead. Here we can see that we cannot proceed straight ahead because it's prohibited to enter. The yellow sign is indicating us to go the other way. Here we could see the hospital sign, indicating that there's a hospital nearby. This long sign is indicating all the lanes and their directions. It's important to pay attention. Now this sign is indicating us that this is pedestrians area and school zone ahead. Be prepared to reduce speed. I will remind you that Mondays through Fridays, you must reduce speed and obey the traffic signals around school at the times indicated in certain signs. Weekends, you shall proceed with your normal speed. So every time you see this sign right here, it's telling you to go 15 miles per hour when the lights are flashing because it is school zone. Sometimes when we are driving and we take a look at our left lane, we can run into these two arrows in different directions. This lane is precisely for making left turns. You may take that lane and wait for the proper time to make your turn. This sign is basically telling you that the street has no openings and it is closed. I also want to tell you guys that whenever you see separate dashing lines, like these white ones, it means that the vehicles are moving all in the same direction, and you may change lanes. However, when the lines are not white and they're yellow dashing lines, this means that vehicles are moving in opposite direction, but you may change when safe to do so, and if you would like. Now, if you see these double yellow lines, you can't and should not pass other vehicles or change lanes. Usually you see these lines by curves and school zones. Alrighty guys, this video has come to an end. These are not all the traffic signs, remember this. These are only the ones that you will see most frequently and you will encounter when you begin to drive. Make sure you guys learn all the signals.
This is what US roads looked like in the 1910s. The advent of the automobile outpaced the existing rules of the road, designed for horse-pulled carriages and the occasional trolley. It was a chaotic time to drive, never mind be a pedestrian. Something needed to change. Today, we take road signs for granted. We see these shapes and colors and understand their meaning, even without words. And that was the intention. There's a forgotten science to the shapes of our signs. Driving in these early years was like being in the Wild West. No rules and a lot of fatalities. In cities, roads were an open space that was shared by carriages, bicycles, and pedestrians. Roads were raw and chaotic. There was essentially no regulations when it came to roads. Following the introduction of the automobile, vehicle travel boomed, and road issues that had long been overlooked now needed to be addressed quickly.
You know, it's interesting when you go back to the very earliest days when there were no controls and there was no licensing and people were really learning how to drive and what to do when they were out driving. The first two cars in Detroit actually collided and both drivers were killed. And that was one of the first things to indicate to people that maybe some basic rules of the road, including which side to drive on, and things like traffic signs were desperately needed.
By the 1910s, city and state governments decided enough was enough and began installing control devices. The automotive hub of Detroit led the way with the first center line in 1911, the first stop sign in 1915, and the first three-color traffic signal in 1920. Other cities followed, but there was one big problem.
And every road had a different set of signs. They use different terms, they use different shapes, they use different colors. So if you switch from one road to the other, you might not know what the signs meant. It could be deadly.
That Detroit stop sign we mentioned didn't look like today's red and white stop sign. It was yellow with black typeface and measured 24 by 24 inches, slightly smaller than the red and white octagonal sign we have today. Railroad signs of the day introduced the crossbuck, or X-shaped signs. There were also diamond-shaped boards that read "Railroad Crossing, look out for the car."
It was recognized by about the mid-1920s that there was a need to make, first of all, better signs, and then it became increasingly clear that unique shapes were necessary.
In an effort to establish uniformity, 3 representatives from Wisconsin, Indiana, and Minnesota hit the road in the fall of 1922 to devise a plan. The men traveled through several states to get a sense of what sort of signage existed and to see if they could manage to develop a standardized system. The following year, they presented their research at the 1923 Mississippi Valley Association of State Highway Departments annual meeting. The team's findings determined shape to be the most important aspect of sign identification. There was little discussion on color. The signs were to be strictly yellow on black. Other colors like red and blue were harder to illuminate. But apart from color, their set of recommendations directly resulted in the shapes of signs we see today. and it was all based on a simple premise. The more sides a sign has, the higher level of danger it would represent. For their purposes, a round sign had an infinite number of sides and was therefore used for what they perceived to be the most dangerous situation, a railroad crossing. An octagon would be used for a stop sign. Diamonds would represent precautionary situations like roadwork or bump. A square sign would convey caution. A rectangle would be used for directional information. The recommendation was accepted, and these standards were set into motion.
Humans are creatures of repetition, and it really helps if there are standardized signs that no matter where you are going to know, whether it be by the immediate recognition of the shape or of the color, what it is likely to say.
In 1924, the Committee on Construction and Engineering called for widespread implementation of these sign standards, but also recommended a corresponding color system. Each color would represent a category. Red would be stop, yellow would be warning, blue would be road service, and so on. However, dyes of the time faded quicker than the dyes of today. With no alternative, color fell to the wayside.
In the early years, it was hand painted, which meant that they didn't last very long, and it was not uncommon to be traveling across the country having the colors fade. That was where the idea of standardizing shapes, not just the messages or colors, came in handy.
It would be some 30 years until a unified color system could be implemented. By 1954, sign makers developed and began using a fade-resistant porcelain enamel. Finally, uniform shapes of signs would have their accompanying color. Since then, not much has changed for road signs. Some signs have cut down on their wordage, new, more reflective paints are used, and we've even seen new colors. But the shapes have remained the same. It's a testament to the simple yet effective logic proposed by those three representatives. But are these shapes and colors here to stay? Maybe not. Autonomous vehicles read a different language.
Traffic accidents are the leading cause of on-the-job fatalities in America. About 40,000 people die in motor vehicle crashes each year. With the automobile fatality trends increasing, it's important to understand the dangers of driving and how to safely commute to and from work each day. To ensure your safety on the road, inspect your vehicle to make sure it is in good working condition and is safe for travel before setting out. Check tire pressure and inspect tires for excessive or uneven wear. Examine your wiper blades and windows and mirrors. Make sure they are clean. Check your brakes and look for any fluid leaks outside the vehicle. Test lights and turn signals. Check warning lights inside the vehicle. And secure any cargo that may move or shift when the vehicle is in motion. Adjust your mirrors to eliminate blind spots. Use the blind spot glare elimination approach to position mirrors farther out than most of us are used to, but can help eliminate troublesome blind spots. Sit in the driver's seat and place your head flush against the driver's side window. While in that position, adjust the driver's side mirror until the edge of the car is just barely visible in the mirror. Lean your body to the right so that your head is directly below the rearview mirror or above the center console, and adjust the passenger side mirror until the edge of the car is just barely visible in the mirror. Seat belts save lives and reduce the risk of injury. You should always wear your seat belt, whether in the front seat or the back seat. Make sure the lap belt and shoulder belt are secured across the pelvis and rib cage. Place the shoulder belt across the middle of your chest, away from your neck, and the lap belt across your hips, not your stomach. When driving, 100% of your attention should be on the road at all times. Before leaving, check the surrounding area. Walk around the vehicle looking for any obstacles or objects that could damage the vehicle if you drive or back over them. Do not eat, drink, or talk on the phone or text while driving. Pulling over for a few minutes to do these tasks can be the difference between life and death. Distracted driving includes texting, talking on the phone, eating and drinking, and playing with the radio or navigation system. It's illegal to text and drive in most states in the US. Sending or reading a text takes your eyes off the road for 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's like driving the length of an entire football field with your eyes closed. Obey posted speed limits and drive slower in bad weather. Give plenty of braking distance between you and the car in front of you. Drive defensively and give yourself time to react to any hazards, especially in bad weather. 1/3 of all traffic fatalities in the US involve impaired drivers. Whether it's alcohol, marijuana, or prescription drugs, do not drink or use drugs and then drive. Read prescription and over-the-counter medication labels to make sure there is no risk of impairment, such as drowsiness, sleepiness, or anxiety. Do not drive drowsy. Get enough rest every day to avoid drowsiness and get a good night's sleep before a long car trip. While motorcyclists, bicyclists, and pedestrians have the same responsibilities and rights as motorists, they're also more vulnerable without the protection of a car. You should always keep a further distance from these roadway users. Be especially mindful of pedestrians. Do not assume they can see you. When you're behind the wheel, you have only one job: follow the rules of the road and drive safely.
That's it, we're done folks. Let's get off on this exit here and continue to drive safe. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and stay up to date with some training information. Charles McNamara here. Hope you enjoyed this training video.